So today is November 26, 2011. It's about 10 p.m. and Saturday, November 26th. And I'm fixing up a joystick that doesn't seem to be working. It's always, well, it works kind of, but it's always being recognized as disconnecting whenever you move the stick in the wrong fashion. And it's a pretty nice joystick too. It's a let's see, it's a Radio Shack F-15 combat. Oh, let's come on, focus. F-15 combat fighter from Radio Shack. And what's nice about it is all of the buttons are programmable. It's 12 buttons. And well, I got it all taken apart, but there's 4 buttons you can program to. And well, actually there's 4 settings. You can have 4 individual 12 button settings to choose from. So that works by, you plug the game port in here, this plug, and also the keyboard. So there's a pass through here, you plug the keyboard in, and when you got it in program mode, you hold down one of the buttons here and then hit a keyboard key, and the keyboard key is assigned to the button. So yeah, use these ones. These are the programmed to the arrow keys right now, up, down, left, right. So that's kind of handy, because you can even navigate through windows with it. And this is enter, I think. Yeah, it's set to enter. But it's not working properly, so I've got it taken apart here. And I've noticed that this wire is very, very thin stuff, you know, made in China quality. So the wires are very thin. And this, I believe, is the problem. It's the power wire leading from the keyboard plug, I believe. And look at that, it's bare wire leading in there. So I'm thinking that was either shorting out, which is a possibility, or, as I discovered after unwrapping a bunch of electrical tape from a previous repair that I did not do, that this end of the wire, which has got some insulation on it, which is a soldering job there, it was just wrapped around this foil. Now I think this foil is actually the conductor for power, which is really cheap, right? But I'm not going to cut open the whole cord and splice in a new wire, because that just takes too much time, and I'll have to open up the plug, and that's a pain in the butt. So this one too, probably. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to solder that back together, solder onto the foil, and put a new wire that's fully insulated, and hopefully that will eliminate the problems of the joystick not being connected all the time. It just constantly disconnects. So I got my work cut out for me now, because I've got it taken all apart, and the springs in here, this massive spring for centering the stick, and all the little sensors and all the wires, delicate wires I can't break, otherwise the whole thing fails. But I'll give it a shot, and we'll see what happens. So, toodaloo. Alright, I got that soldered together with a new 22 gauge fully insulated wire. See, it sticks out a little bit, right, a little bit further than the other connection, so I'll have to cut that. I got it wrapped with some tape. There's this foil. It's conductive on one side, I assume. Maybe I shouldn't assume it, but hopefully it works. Anyway, and now the arduous task of reassembling everything very carefully, because this stuff is so thin. I have no idea why they use such thin wire. If they just use 22 gauge stuff, it would last forever. But it's like look at this here. The whole wire, including the insulator, is like a hair. It's like a human hair thickness almost. And it's kind of disappointing, but whatever. Replace it with some new stuff. Alright, so now put it back together and test it out, see how it works. Microchips. There's a microchip in there. Circuit board. Another one. Some more circuit boards for storing your settings, and I guess signal processing and all that. And there's the 4 buttons for user settings. So you select each one and program it. So, okay. So I got it all back together, except the bottom plate, because I never, well, sometimes put things back together fully, but this time I decided to not put it together fully, just in case something else went wrong. And something has gone wrong. I've got it hooked up to the back of the computer here, a very loud, crappy computer. And as you can see, right here, I'll move the joystick left, and the little the calibration system seems to work, left, right, up, and down. That seems to work fine, and it's centered very close. But now the buttons don't work. And with it plugged in through the keyboard doesn't work either. So now something else has gone horribly wrong. And but at least it doesn't disconnect, because before, when I'd go left or right and move it all over the place, it failed every time. Every time. Yep. And so now I think that the electrical problem is fixed with the disconnecting, but something else has gone awry, and probably a little more complex than I think. Could be a microchip in there, so a processing microchip, or whatever. But okay. So I had the thought, while looking at this thing, that maybe the computer was having a problem, not recognizing the joystick configuration plugged through the keyboard, and that was causing problems. But after hooking up a second computer, I got a second computer down here, also with Windows 98, the same problem exists. I can move the joystick around and it seems to work fine, but none of the buttons work, and when it's plugged to the keyboard in the correct configuration, it doesn't work. And now the keyboard doesn't work either as well. So it's not the computers, it is my fix-it job that I did. Fix-it job. So that's a real pain now, because I fixed it and something else is wrong. So it's not the computer, it's the fix job, or it's the fix repair. And darn, I did such a nice job there. Oh well, I'll take a look again. So normally these lights here would be lit up. There's some LEDs in here. The top holes would be lit up, but they're not working. There is power to the keyboard though. The number lock light is on, so there's power here, but maybe the joystick is either drawing too much power, which is odd because it worked before and it broke. It worked with the keyboard just fine, but since the fix, it doesn't work. So whatever. So it's now 3 in the morning, Sunday the 27th, and I feel like a real idiot. Been working on this thing for a couple hours and could not get it working at all. It just failed every time, and the keyboard kept getting knocked off and so forth. Then it turned out, after a bunch of looking around for wires that were frayed and or soldered across, maybe I'd accidentally touched something, whatever, it turned out that the solder joint to the foil was not good enough to complete the connection, the repair connection. So I spent all this time looking for another problem, and it was right there. That was the problem, and it really ticks me off. Because as soon as I reconnected it, the keyboard worked, the joystick worked, everything worked. So I'm going to go to bed now. I'm not going to solder this again tonight. I'll figure out something tomorrow or later today. So I just feel really stupid now. Alrighty, so now it's 4 p.m. or 4:30 p.m. Sunday the 27th of November 2011, and I believe I have fixed this joystick. It needs some calibration. Has some problems with calibration there with the whatever calibration problems, whatever. Anyway, so the problem was that my initial fix, the wire I added, was not making proper electrical contact, so I had to replace it. And instead of soldering it to this foil here that's used as the conductor, actually there's a bare wire in there with no insulation, runs along the cable. It had broken off, and the previous fix, whoever fixed it before, had just used the foil here, which comes in contact with the bare wire, and just added onto that. So it's not the best fix in the world, but it kind of works. It works alright. But the foil has some kind of plastic coating on it, so a little difficult to make a connection to. But I just taped the wire onto the foil, and hopefully that'll work for a while. So as you can see, I'll stand the joystick up, stand it up like here. See on the screen there, when I hit button 1, it lights up. Button 2, button 3, button 4. Oh great, button 4 is not working. Jeez. The motions work okay. So, alright, that's it. Successful fix. Alright, I spoke way too soon when I said this thing was fixed. Stupid joystick. Piece of junk. Yeah. I put it all back together like I said. Showed you that the buttons work. Oh, they're actually working now. Yeah, even 4. The problem is that even though it works now, if I manipulate the wire a little bit, the buttons fail to function. So there's an electrical problem in here. So I'll hold down the trigger here, button 1, and I'll move the cable. And you can see I'm holding the trigger down while moving the cable, and the number 1 is flashing on and off, meaning that there's an electrical connection being disrupted. So that's a real pain. You see number 3 does it too? Yeah, number 3, number 2, yeah, and number 4, which didn't work yesterday, works now until I move the wire. There we go, off. And oh, there we go. Number 4. Yeah, so and I have no clue where along the wire the problem is, but it seems to be right where it comes out of the joystick. So that seems to be the problem, but it's always the case. I've already shaved back 4 inches and another 4 inches of the plastic coating, or the rubber coating on here. There's 16 wires inside there, and any one of them could be the problem. But this thing's a piece of junk. It was really good when we bought it. Like 12 years ago, it was awesome. $100 joystick, right? Just totally awesome. Works and works and works. And I found them still. They're still for $100, you know, on eBay. So the price hasn't gone down on them, but they're really cheap. Really cheap construction on the inside. The outside's fine. It's nice, fits in your hand, real nice. You got nice buttons, hat button, another hat, 4-way directional, programmable, keyboard programmable, so it emulates buttons on the keyboard. But electrically, it's not a good thing. It's such thin wire that breaks really easy. So that's a big problem. So I have 2 options to make actually just one option really, is just continue cutting down the wire. It's only about 4 feet left, I guess. It's getting kind of short. Keep cutting down that until I find the problem, or maybe find that bare wire and connect directly to it, and maybe uncover some other problem, some other wire that's frayed or whatever, because it seems that to me that a wire has to be frayed in order to cause an intermittent problem like that. It works 1 second and not the next, which is really frustrating in a game when you need to hit the button now and it works, but the position of the wire counts, and you can't test that in the game. So that bugs me a lot. So I guess I'll just keep plugging away at it. It's almost 11:30 now, so I'll open it up, see what happens. Oh yeah, and too, even after calibration, you notice that the axes positioning system, it works fairly well going up and to the left and to the right, but going backward it's very, very subtle. So I'm thinking the vertical axis sensor is damaged or something, because it doesn't work in reverse, which if you're flying a plane you want to be able to pull up. So
Watcha!